Hi guys, welcome back to the Property King. For today's episode, we're going to discuss why is parking so expensive here in the Philippines, okay? Especially for condominium units. They've been asking me why did the parking prices get so high, okay? What's the reason for it? And one of the reasons actually is because of the demand and supply, okay? So basic economics, right? If there's a lot of supply and the demand is low, the price will go down. But on the other hand, if the demand is high and your supply is very low, then the price will go up, right? Okay, so that's natural. And that's the case for most condominiums here in the Philippines, especially in Metro Manila. In Metro Manila, since we don't have a very efficient subway system, we don't have an efficient public transportation system, right? So the main mode of transportation for most condominium unit owners, they use cars, right? And because they use cars, they would need a parking slot. Okay? And the problem with most condominium developments is that the parking is not actually one is to one. So let's say for example, in the building there's 500 units, okay? You wouldn't have 500 parking slots. Typically, it would be less than 50% on the average, right? So not all units will have a parking slot. Okay, the allocation is not one is to one. You're very lucky to get what 60%, 70% unit to parking ratio, right? Usually the higher parking ratios are reserved for the higher end developments, especially if the unit cuts are bigger. If there are lesser studio units, if the unit sizes are usually bigger, like 2 bedroom and 3 bedrooms, if there are more of those, then you would tend to have more parking slots. But if you have a lot of studio units or 1 bedroom units, then you would tend to have lesser unit to parking ratios, okay? Because typically when developers plan for these parking spaces, they recognize that not all studio unit owners will require a parking because some of them are just working nearby, they're single, they don't have a family yet, okay? So they just walk to their office because they're living in the condo, they just walk, live and play, within the area, work there. So it's very easy for them and they don't have to ride a car, and there's Grab nowadays anyway, right? So it's very easy to go around. Because of that, they don't really allocate 1:1 parking slot. Another reason why developers don't, build 1:1 ratio for parking is because it's expensive to build parking slots. Okay, parking spaces, to allocate spaces, especially if it's on the basement. If the parking is in the basement, they would have to dig for it. They have to put a ventilation system for that, right? And it becomes more expensive. They have to think about potential flooding, So usually it's more affordable to put it, or cost effective to put it on the podium level, right? But again, this is going to take up potential, floor area that you can build upon to sell as units instead of converting it into parking slots, right? So developers have to find that sweet spot, that balance, to cater to the demand of the parking and as well as, maximize their profits for the development, okay? And because most of the time, parking slots are not enough for the unit owners and people would tend to look for it, they are willing to pay higher just to get that parking slot. So before, when I started in the real estate industry, I was able to chance upon parking slot prices at around 400,000, 500,000 before. But now, like for example, in Serendra, those same parking slots are now selling for 1.5 million already because there's such a shortage of parking slots in that development. Okay, so a lot, especially the bigger units, they tend to have more cars, so they would, they require 3 parking slots sometimes, even if it's just a 2 bedroom unit, right? So that's the case for the condominiums. The demand for parking would really vary from one development to another. Some developments, they don't sell the parking slots very fast because most of the people who buy there are investing, and they're not really going to live there and they're just leasing it out. And the people who lease those units, especially if the majority of the units are smaller units like studios, they don't need cars, right? So it's really a case-to-case basis. But generally, the reason why parking prices tend to go up is because of a shortage of parking slots in that building. I hope you learned a lot from this video, and I hope this answers that question. And thank you so much for listening and supporting this channel. If you like the content, please be sure to smash that like button down below. It really helps a lot. And if you're new to the channel, please press subscribe and hit that bell icon so you're notified each time we upload a new content such as this. On this side is our social media accounts. Be sure to follow them so you're updated each time we have new posts or updates about the industry. And if you want to book a free property consultation with me, send me an email at rk@propertyking.ph. Again, this is RK from Property King. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in the next video, and remember, let's all grow wealthy together. Goodbye.